Booth Craig, what is art in your
Oh
opinion?
boy, that's the
We
toughest
got we
question
got
of
there, yeah.
all. Yeah, that's the toughest question of all. Uh, yeah, I, I think it's so hard to define. Partly because our own the human definition of it has changed so much over history, right? So um, I read a really good book recently called The Mind in the Cave about the origins of art, in particular the depictions in cave art, and or just
The
early
mind
depiction.
in the cave?
Mind in the
Yeah.
Cave, yeah. Yep, yeah, it's a really good book. um, Probably from about 15, 18 years ago, somewhere in that range. And and so much of the theory in that book has to do with the that human beings were they would have these like ectopic experiences, where you're in that state of consciousness where you're not unconscious, but you're not conscious totally 100% conscious. Like, there are actually multiple states of consciousness.
Right.
There's not a single state, or two. There's not a binary state. There's actually multiple stages of consciousness, and there's that point at which the your experience of consciousness, like when you're first falling asleep and everything, you're kind of awake, but everything's a little bit like you're in another realm. And that's one of the theories about in other words, his idea is that the reason it's called the mind in the cave is like this is the cave, and those they were expressing that sort of change of consciousness. Some of it was, of course, done with substances, the change of consciousness.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
but so the reason I went off on that seemingly unrelated tangent to your question is that I do think that understanding those origins of the
Sorry
human
about that.
creativity. It's okay. Um, Happens all the time.
Yeah, it's pretty annoying. I'm pretty sure it's spam. Go ahead, sorry.
Of course, it almost always is. uh, uh, I think understanding that will help us understand why we still do it, right?
Yeah.
That that it obviously art serves a function of expressing the mores of your culture sometimes, or expresses the narrative of a particular society, right, in its public work. And it's an expression of that, sort of an expression, a communal expression of that. But I think ultimately it's really an expression of the human search to find meaning in existence, and give shape to get. And so creating, it's a way of creating meaning through shaping your world. And um, so that's why it's also a sort of ever expanding field.